Imagine Apple releasing its first foldable iPhone, and instead of worrying about whether people will actually buy it, the real question becomes, can it beat Samsung at its own game? Because here's the twist. Apple doesn't need the iPhone Fold to dominate the market like the iPhone 18 will. It just needs to outsell the Galaxy Z Fold 7. And given how Apple fans react to anything labeled new, that might not even be a challenge. Here's why that matters. Foldables currently make up less than 5% of the global smartphone market. That means Apple isn't trying to please a mainstream audience right away. It's aiming at a niche but highly profitable group. Early adopters who don't mind dropping $2,000 just to own the next big thing. Apple knows this game well. It doesn't need mass adoption to win. It just needs momentum, excitement, and the loudest hype cycle. And Apple's ecosystem is perfectly built for that. But here's where things get interesting. Everyone is focusing on the price like it's the main barrier. Analysts are already nervous, some even downgrading Apple stock because they think the Fold's high cost could kill demand. Honestly, price is the least of Apple's problems. People have shown time and time again that they'll pay whatever Apple asks if the product offers something they can't get elsewhere, or at least feels like it does. The real challenge sits in the software. Samsung's early foldables weren't great either. The first Galaxy Fold stretched smartphone apps awkwardly across a tablet-like screen, and the whole experience felt more like a beta test than a polished product. But over time, Samsung and Google refined Android to adapt apps dynamically. Today, opening a Fold feels like switching between a phone and a mini tablet smoothly. Apple doesn't have that luxury yet. Because iOS and iPadOS are separate ecosystems with separate app builds, developers would need to update their iPhone apps or redesign them entirely to support a foldable layout properly. And let's be honest, not every developer is going to put in that effort for a niche device. We've seen how slow some were to adopt Apple's own design language changes, like the liquid glass aesthetic. Now imagine asking them to redesign their interface just for a new form factor that only a small portion of users will own. That points to the bigger issue. What's the actual value of a foldable iPhone if it doesn't significantly change how you use an iPhone? A bigger screen alone isn't compelling anymore. Productivity, multitasking, app flexibility, these are the things foldables promise, and right now, iOS simply doesn't deliver that experience the way Android does on devices like the Fold 7. Still, none of this will stop the initial wave of sales. It's the first new iPhone form factor in nearly 2 decades. The tech world will go wild, social media will flood with unboxings, and the Apple faithful will buy it simply because it exists. And once those Apple Store lines start forming, perception will shift. Success won't be measured against traditional iPhone sales. It'll be measured against Samsung. And that's where Apple has the edge. There's a massive group of users who've been curious about foldables, but refuse to leave the Apple ecosystem. They don't want Android, no matter how polished the Fold 7 is. They've waited years, watching Samsung refine the idea, and the moment Apple steps in, they'll jump. Because for them, a foldable only becomes real once Apple makes one. The big question isn't, will it sell? It's, will it stay relevant? We've already seen what happens when excitement meets underwhelming execution. Look at Apple Vision Pro. Huge launch buzz, then silence as real-world use failed to match expectations. If the iPhone Fold launches with limited app support, clunky multitasking, or a sense that it's more novelty than necessity, the same thing could happen. Early sales might boom, but long-term interest could fade fast. Apple's challenge isn't winning day one. It's proving that a foldable adds lasting value to the iPhone experience. If it manages to blend iOS fluidity with true multitasking and app flexibility, it'll redefine what premium smartphones look like. But if it ships a big screen that acts like a stretched-out iPhone and nothing more, it risks being a one-hit wonder. Loud debut, quiet exit. One thing is certain, the iPhone Fold will sell, and it'll probably become the best-selling foldable almost instantly. But what really decides its place in Apple's history won't be those first sales numbers. It'll be whether people keep using it because it's better, not just because it's new. What's your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments section below. See you in the next video. Take care.